Hello, hello, hello. We are live.
Hey.
Oh, I feel like I'm getting feedback. Go ahead.
Nope, you're good. Hey, hey,
Okay.
hey. 120 days of intention.
Yes, 120 days. We are in day 7.
Look, we fancy, y'all. She fancy.
We
She fancy.
done upgraded our backgrounds and
She
everything.
fancy. I know. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Nashay Kyle. If this is your first time on the channel, we're glad you stopped by. We hope you get something out of it. That's our purpose. 120 days of intention. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time, welcome again to Nashay Kyle. Um, yeah, on our day 7. Haha, we on
Day
day 7.
7.
Day
I
7.
know it doesn't even feel like
Does
it
it?
feels like it, but it doesn't feel like
But
it.
it doesn't feel like it. So
Yeah.
let me go through the spiel. Nashay Kyle, what is Nashay Kyle? We are women of valor.
Valor.
Our mission is to hopefully allow people to come on this journey with us. My sister, literally my sister and I, but also my sisters. You may not see them, that they are here. They are always present. And the Shekayu is a group of women, a collective of women who are women of valor. Hello. And that's our intent, is to move with force as women, to move in the power which is given to us by our grand maker, our creator, above all else, derived from Proverbs 31, Eshet Kayil, or the virtuous woman or woman of valor. Who can find her? We are
We're
here.
here. We don't have to search high or low.
Such
We
high.
come to you.
Yes. And the mission is to ensure that all women know their power and how
Absolutely.
virtuous they are. They're valid. That we are women of force. This valor. So that's our intention. We always ask women to kind of join us, and it is for women, but our brothers are welcome to partake in this, of course. But this is to encourage. This is to motivate each other in sisterhood, in love, in peace. For us, we start journey of 120 days of intention. And with that, it has led us now to day 7 of
Day
this journey.
7.
And this is pretty
Wow.
dope, though. Like 7 is always like we say completion. Like,
Right.
it's a beautiful number. Everything's
Absolutely.
7 is. So I think it's special. And I think it's also special that tonight we're talking about understanding self-awareness. So for
Hmm.
those who may not know me, I am excuse me, Tamara Metia, aka Tam. I had a cough.
I
And
don't
this
think you
is
forgot your name.
no, I had a cough. And this is my sister Stacy, aka
Okay,
Sissy.
Sissy.
And
What up,
together,
family?
hi family. And together we are Tam and Stacy.
All day, every day.
So welcome, welcome, welcome to our segment. Listen, y'all, this journey, and as we're only in day 7, has been I won't say a roller coaster, but it's definitely been a spicy one. It's been a up
It's
down.
been a journey.
It's
It's
yes,
had its ups and downs.
it has. Oh my
It's
goodness.
bumpy roads. Yeah,
Already.
yeah,
Amen, Baruch
yeah.
Hashem. Amen. It has definitely been up and down, but it's beautiful because
Hmm.
we've learned so much. So those who are maybe new, or if you're returning, thank you.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you for coming back. We love y'all. We appreciate you um for supporting us in every way. But this journey has come about because me and my sister love to talk.
All day.
I mean, usually to each other.
Each other.
But we love to talk, and in our conversations with each other, we've kind of helped each other on our own personal journeys,
Hmm.
and then we realized that we have a collective journey,
Yes.
and as we continue to build and grow, we realize, like, we say some pretty dope stuff sometimes, um
Absolutely.
and it's to toot
And
our
get
own.
each other to thinking and like, really like, I think we realize like we can't be the only ones like having these thoughts, having these conversations, right? Like these conversations are happening among sisters all over. It's definitely between the women that we know. Yeah, so I think this is like this was talking about being intentional, man. Just, understanding that God put something in our hearts and we wanted we wanted a platform, and then we realized we actually already had a platform, and we just needed to be intentional about getting our content out. And so for me, 7 days, with all that has happened in the last 7 days, I must say, much like our walks, I've just continued to learn so much more about me. Um, and definitely, like I think you said it, like day one, I think for me, what I'm looking forward to most is that I'm not going to be the same woman I was on day one, because I already feel different in day 7. So I can't, but I can imagine like what day 120 is going to feel like. So yeah, I'm super excited. I'm hyped.
I
I
am
didn't
hyped.
dance today, but I'm
You
hyped.
didn't dance. Do you dance? Do you dance?
No, I didn't do my,
Do you dance? Do you dance? Sissy? Do you dance?
my dance.
Do you dance?
Everybody knows my dance.
Okay. And the fact that I encourage it. Anywho, hey
Yes.
Chantel. Yes, growth is very important. And thank you all. So if you don't know, we love feedback. So by all
Yes,
means,
please jump in the
listen in the
comments.
conversation. I think this is going to be a good one tonight. I appreciate
Hmm.
those who do make comments. Let's have this dialogue, and sometimes
Yeah.
even having great chats in the chat. I like watching the chats in the chat room sometimes,
Yeah.
because you guys come out with some great input, and
Hmm.
that's the whole point. We're trying to formulate community, right? Community and build sisterhood. We're trying to remind each other that sisterhood is not a lost thing. It's not a lost art.
It's not.
It's
It's
not a
not.
lost art. We are here. And yes, if we are women of valor, we need to grow. I like that.
Yes.
Whoever Facebook user, I'm sorry we can't always see your
Yeah,
names,
see the names.
but
Yeah. So if you are in the comments, just as a sidebar, if you are in the comments, feel free to drop your name. We definitely give you a shout out.
no,
And like Tam said, we appreciate the comments, the feedback. It helps us because I think we prepare our material, from our perspectives. And then so the comments have us, even when we're done, like having additional conversations and trying to figure it out. But because we can't see all the names, definitely drop your name so we can acknowledge you. But we definitely appreciate the love and support.
absolutely. So tonight, now, if you kind of been on this journey, I'm gonna recap a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're first time, and I kind of like going back because I feel like this has been a build up a little bit. So day
Mm-hmm.
one, we had the art of intention, understanding, defining what that is. Day two, we had identifying and setting our goals. Day three was the importance of positive self thought and goal setting. So we talked about SMART goals. Day four was
I was trying to pull up my
how
notes too.
far can we how far how no how not how far but how fear can impact
Fear.
how fear
Yes.
can impact your purpose. Day five was day five, sissy,
Day 5, give me 1 minute. You know me and my technology.
because you know I love
So day 5 was the art of change.
the art
So
of
we talked
change.
about,
Day five.
yeah. So just so we definitely are trying to build on this process, because we acknowledge, and we hope the viewers also acknowledge, like 120 days of intention. And Tamara and I just had this conversation today. Like we did the work, we set our goals, we thought about our timeline, but even in the midst of that, like this is so much work. There's such a process that happens, and so even within the process, so many things are happening and so much is moving that you be like, oh my God, I feel a little bit overwhelmed, like am I prepared? So we talked about on day 5 the art of change, and we kind of highlighted like behavior changes and things that we can do for ourselves to make those positive behavior change so that we can be successful and be intentional in our goals.
Absolutely. Day six was which was awesome.
Support.
It was support.
Yeah.
Support is not competition. And I really thought last night was a very
Oh, last night was
good
bomb.
conversation.
Yeah.
And I feel like it might be one that, we will probably revisit again.
Visit for sure. Yeah.
But I feel like even the feedback that we received from that, like
Hmm.
the conversation in the chat was even awesome too. You know what I'm saying? And now we're just kind of continuing on in that vein a little bit of understanding now self-awareness. Because like when we talk about support, excuse me, so we talked about support and we're talking about what it is. And I said this to my sister yesterday, right? When we talked about support and she gave her notes like these tenets about support and then how to be supportive.
Supportive.
And then
Yeah.
my response to that was it's amazing because you would think you would know how to support somebody, but
Right.
we'll be amazed at how we really don't
Don't.
understand how
Hmm.
to positively support
Support.
another
Yeah.
person without imposing some part of ourselves into it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Instead of
And I
just
think that goes along with being intentional, right? Because I think we all lead with a clean heart and a good intent, right? But sometimes, even in order to be intentional, you need to be informed, right? And so you need to be educated and you need to know what exactly that you're doing. And you, the lover of words and definitions, if you understand what a word means, then you will know how to bring that word to life, right? And
yes,
so I think there's a lot of words in our vocabulary that we use, such as support. Girl, I support you. I support your dreams. I support this. I support, like, and we kind of throw that out there at each other, right? With good intent and with a clean heart. But
right,
do we really understand what that means? And what does it mean to not only be in the act of support, right? But then how do we hold the characteristic of being supportive? And I
right,
think that, just as human beings and as life moves back and forth, we don't always realize if we're bringing those two together,
right,
which I
right.
think is, I think we had a really, really in-depth conversation about that last night with some really good feedback from our viewers, and so really kind of drove those points home. So yeah, that was super dope last night.
Yes. Yes, I'm actually I'm really because that's been a conversation that I feel like I've had a lot with women. So
Hmm.
if you didn't get to catch that, by all means check that one out. I
Yeah,
thought it
check
was
us
really
out.
good. It's good information, good information. And that's what we're here for, right? We're here to we're on this journey. So
Yeah,
be on it, don't be on it. Don't matter. We own it. This
we
is
own it.
this is the journey that we're on, individually as well as collectively. And we would love for you to discover your own journey and
Yeah.
let us know a little bit about it if you can.
Hmm.
We're we're talking a lot about change, we're talking a lot about being intentional, and we're talking about being intentional in every aspect of our life.
Aspect of our lives.
So this is kind of making us look at our self
Hmm.
development and
Yep.
growth in a very different way.
Hmm.
And I think it's important. Like I always say to my sister, like I feel like this our time. Like this has been as women of color, like this is really our time. And it's time
Yeah.
to begin to start embracing those things. But to embrace it and be able to propel ourselves forward to that next level, that next journey, that next level elevation, whatever that is,
Hmm.
we also got to kind of deal with who we are and have
Are.
a better
Yep.
understanding of who we are and
Hmm.
make the changes where necessary for our self growth. So, and this is all encompassing, right? This
Yes.
is mind, body, spirit. This is what this is about. So today, this journey has led us in talking about understanding
Self
self.
awareness. Yes.
Dun-dun, felt it needed that. I don't know why.
Okay. Next week we'll be on to sound effects.
I'll still
Why
probably
not?
be sounding like a man, but here
Oh
I am.
no, you sound wonderful, darling.
Do I,
Wonderful.
darling? Thank you,
Yes,
dear. Thank
darling.
you for
Wonderful.
encouraging. Thank you. I feel better today. Can you tell?
I can tell,
It's
which I'm very happy about
thanks.
because I'm over COVID edition.
Yo. So if y'all don't
Because the
know,
way,
y'all new to this. My sister and I had
yeah,
COVID last week, right?
Right. As we started day one,
As we started
we
day one,
right, we had
we got
COVID.
COVID.
So our
Yeah.
journey has had a lot of lifing and adjusting and moving, which even when we was preparing for tonight, like in all honesty, like the self-awareness that had to take place. Um, because again, this ain't my judge. Like I've never done like lives, and I
Mhm.
barely know how to work my social media just to like do a post. Like it's ridiculous.
No, it's really
But
true for her.
yeah, so it's like self-awareness and stepping outside of my comfort zone. What could I handle, right, mentally, emotionally, like, oh my God, like,
Anyway.
and then compared to like what our very demanding lives are already full with so many things that we do individually. So yeah, tonight, like it's all personal. Like you're gonna hear us say that throughout this 120 days. It started out as a personal journey,
Mhm.
and it remains that way. So we are again learning so much about ourselves as we go on this journey. So
And you'll hear a lot of transparency too. And
absolutely.
because I think some of it is like it is leading by example also. Like we're
Mhm.
not perfect. And I think sometimes highlighting the levels of imperfection, but the growth that comes from that imperfection, I think is important because it just shows the reality of a situation. And
Yeah.
that we face the same things anyone else faces. The
Yep.
difference is that we're in a space of growth. And and
Intentionally in that space.
intentionally, like we're putting
Yeah.
ourselves out in a very, because my sister will tell you, I in particular, me, her, she, I am very much not I want to be like what's the word I'm looking for, showy, like
Oh, right. Right. Being more private and like
me,
kind
I'm
of
very,
traveling life's
yeah, I'm
journey
very
and
private.
just, yeah.
And you
And
know,
yeah, I think we both share that to a certain extent. I
yeah,
think I'm definitely more um,
I think you're,
extroverted, obviously, than you are. Like
yeah,
I'm a
you're way
little
more
bit more
extroverted than I
like
am.
that. But I think when it comes to the things that are near and dear to our hearts, and when we start to think about like personal growth and development, definitely usually keep that closer to the chest. Like and again, in a moment of transparency, right, and being self-aware, um, for me, I've realized like a lot of that is my own fear, right? Because I want to work on things, I want to change things, I want to be better, I want to show up better. Um, as Stacy, like I want to just show up as a better Stacy every day. And it's easier to keep it to myself because it's like if no one knows I'm working on it, then you can't hold me accountable for it. You can't like be like, oh, is that in alignment with what you're doing? But I think you being my person, right? We always talk about that, right? Like who's your
Hmm.
person? You being my person, um, that safe space, that vulnerability,
Hmm.
um, was like, nah, like I think like I'm afraid of being held accountable, but that also limits me from living to my full potential,
Mm.
you know? So it's like I know
Yeah.
you're gonna hold me accountable, right? But I think showing up every night for this, right? Like it's not like other things I'll be like, girl, but I'm tired. Ain't nobody doing that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like and really like putting in the work, going through the process, right?
Yeah,
Because now
because
you're vulnerable to critique, criticism. Oh, why you do that? Oh, why this? Oh, well, if I was doing it, I would have did it like. And it's like, whoa, like I get real anxious about stuff like that.
we,
So, yeah, so taking a little self awareness, and kind of just tapping into my own mirror and being like, all right, Stacey, like is one thing to be like telling Tamara like everything, and it's another thing to like open yourself up to views you don't know and just like comments and feedback. So
so
thankfully and very gratefully, graciously, I will say everything has been positive. So just motivation to stay on the journey. So I
yeah,
appreciate that.
cool. So speaking of this journey, let's hop right on into this level of self um
Hmm.
awareness.
Yeah.
Okay. Understand
So
awareness. awareness.
Oh, well, sorry. Yeah. So again, developing an understanding of ourselves in some real key areas, right? I think when I was going through this content and this material, again, I'm like, all right, how do I put myself in the material first? Because I can't
Mm.
ask anyone else to be like, oh, look at this methodology or look at this, and not like have a full understanding. So it's like developing and understanding ourselves in key areas. And something that we had talked about a few episodes back, like with fear, um, and behavior change. It's like you have to, in your favorite word, like be honest. Like you got,
Mhm.
in order to have any kind of self awareness, you have to be willing to be brutally honest with yourself, which is so much harder to do, so much harder to
And
do,
I
especially
and
when you're doing it on purpose.
and on purpose. And I think it's also something that is undervalued sometimes.
Yes.
The like
Mm-hmm.
we undervalue the importance of being honest with ourselves, because it's
Yeah.
one thing to be honest with everybody else, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
How you show up is how you show up. People
Show
really
up.
don't have to know the real you, and especially nowadays, right? Because we can easily mask behind anything, right? We talk about um the filter on like social media, right? You can change your
Yes.
face up and all types of
Mm-hmm.
things, you know what I mean? But in reality though, um we put these filters, what I call masking, in the real
Mm-hmm.
world anyway. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
wear these filters, and how do we truly begin to show up as our authentic selves? It starts with
Mm-hmm.
self first. You have to
Yep.
be able to know who you are. So,
I was listening. I was listening to something that Taraji. It was like an interview Taraji P Henson did, and she was like, part of her mission as of late has been to kind of debunk this theory of the strong black woman,
yeah,
right?
I'm all about putting up the cape.
Yeah, she was like, nah, like take your cape off. You don't have to be a strong black woman. Like you can be vulnerable. You can be honest with yourself. Like I'm not this strong black woman. Like I'm hurting. I'm in pain. I'm trying to heal. Like I don't have to come out with makeup and like always be beautiful, right? Because
Mhm.
that's a part of masking and protection, and self-awareness will have you exploring that, right? Like I'm putting
Right.
on that makeup, I'm putting on my suit every day, like so that I can step out my door and face the world. But when I come home and I have to shed all of that, who am
Hmm.
I left with? I'm only left with myself.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
you don't tap into who you are in all the areas of your life, um, and that's looking at like your personality traits,
Right.
right? Everybody think they got a dope personality. Everybody think, oh, my personality is good. I'm very loving. I'm very caring. I'm this. I'm that, and they spit hate and venom every chance they get,
Oh.
and calling it support,
And
calling it. Oh, I was
keeping
just
it
critiquing
real.
your idea, keeping
I'm
it
keeping
real,
it real.
right?
No,
But
you're
mind
being
you,
a butt.
right, and you're moving in your fear.
Right. And
You're
projecting.
moving in your fear and projecting that on the next person, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like, but you got to be honest with yourself about that. Because if not, you'll just be out here thinking you the bomb.com, and everybody around you is like, oh, her personality is trash. Like she's always talking junk. She's always being negative. She's always critiquing what somebody else is doing, always presenting like, oh, I can do it better or I've done it better. Like, no, slow down. Like, relax.
Check you.
Check yourself.
I like that personality traits.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think with that, your personal values,
Mm,
right? Right? What's
okay.
important? What's important to me? What do I value? Why am I jumping on everybody's bandwagon if that's not a part of my value system? Just
Mm,
to say I'm a part of? Just to be like I'm in it? Nah, be able to be okay with being like, that's cool, but that's not in alignment with my value system. So I can support you from a distance, or I can just acknowledge that you're doing a great thing, but it's just not for me. But I have to know what my value system
I was
is,
just about to say that.
right? Before I can step out. Some of us, we don't know what we value.
Just
We
about to say,
value what our parents told us to value. We think that our value falls in, are we married? Do we have children? Do we have a job?
do we have
Right?
title?
Do we have title?
I talked about this. Talk about title. Do we have
That's
title?
right.
And placing
Right.
value in these things, and that
Hmm.
kind of gets the message misconstrued sometimes, and it doesn't align with your life goals sometimes.
Right.
The things that you put in value in doesn't align with their life goals. So I agree, most people don't know
Right.
what their personal values are.
Value system is, they don't. They kind of like are like chameleons, right? Like they just attach to people that they have in their lives, and then all of a sudden now we have the same value system. No, you need to know your own value system first, right?
Right.
And then what are our habits? What habits do we have? Now I am, hi, my name is Stacy, and I am a procrastinator.
Hi, Stacey.
Welcome to the group.
Samara, I met you, and I too am a procrastinator. Ask my professors who I still
Right.
have failed
So I have a
email.
very bad habit of
Right.
procrastinating. But on this journey, I learned my procrastination was also a part of my fear, right? Like
Mhm.
I wanted to complete things. I want to be like, I'm the first one that completed it, but I get sidetracked because I start to doubt myself. And then I'm like, all right, let me go on to something else, because that fear, that self doubt, that negative talk kicks in, and I want to distract from that. So I start procrastinating. And usually I go do laundry or I mop something.
I'm
So what
sorry.
are my habits?
I'm not always ready when she throws stuff out to me. I'm not always ready, especially when she goes into that part. So laundry is my sister's therapy.
Oh my God. Since I
That's
was
her
like a
therapy.
14, that's my therapy place. That's my safe space, my
I have.
processing place.
We do have a couple of comments too.
Oh, let's get to the comments. My bad.
So I have one question. Hey Chantel. Hey girl. So what steps can we take to move boldly and confidently and not in fear?
Good question. I will say revert back to our segment on fear, but
Fear.
to answer your question,
I like that.
um, but I think some of the things that we talked about. I'm gonna just go to it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so is like being organized, um, doing research, knowing what it is that you want to move confidently in. If you know what you're talking about and you have done your research and you've educated yourself, then you will move in confidence so that when you open your mouth, and I love, because even in a comment you mentioned like at the workplace, right? And I think for us as little chocolate brown girls, that's important, right? Like I know, like before I go into them boardrooms where nobody looks like me, because I am blessed and privileged to be in executive management, um, and I'm one of like two in the room that look like me, sound like me, can identify with me. I know I don't have the privilege to not know what the hell I'm talking about.
Right.
So I don't walk into those spaces in fear, because I've done my research. I'm organized. I have my talking points. Um, and I and again, like developing like a healthy routine, um, embracing the challenge, because I know when I walk in there, they're gonna come at me with some asinine question that they wouldn't ask anybody else, because they want to catch me slipping. So I go in with that mindset, and I know that. So I think from my response to that would be is to be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop moving in haste.
Mm-hmm.
Educate ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
organize, be confident that the words that are coming out of our mouth can be backed up, trust and verified.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can move like that, you move in confidence. You don't move in fear, because you know that what you're saying and what you're doing has validity.
I would just
I
add
don't know,
to
Sissy, what you think?
I would just add to that, understand what that underlying fear is.
Mm-hmm.
So fear shows up. Um, it's usually something underlined to that. And remember that it's one thing to be cautious about something because our emotions, and it is something we talked about, your emotions are there as signals to yourself as
Mm-hmm.
well as signals to others, right? So understand that there's something underneath that fear. Have an understanding what that underlining fear is. What is under that? Is it fear of rejection? Is it fear of humiliation? Is it
Mm-hmm.
fear of shame? Is it fear of being wrong? There's something else that's underneath there. So a lot of
Yeah.
times, not even your ability to do something, it's the fear of what could happen.
Right.
And us, kind of projecting that into the air versus us just dealing head on. And then of course my sister just finished saying. So I mean, just kind of be aware. And this goes back to self-awareness, and we're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about lack of self-awareness in a minute too, so we're going to touch on that again.
So
That's a
I
good
think again, looking at our habits, our emotions, we talked about this earlier on, how our emotions play a big part in our ability to remain rational, to
right.
be able to hear different perspectives. So you want to think about that when you're thinking about being self-aware. Um, and I think I do want to get to Tamara's point just about like being able to understand that a little deeper. But just to highlight like some elements of self-awareness, right? Your perception of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like how do you perceive yourself? That plays a big part.
I think it's even something we overlook, right?
Yes.
Because what we put out on other people is often what we
Mm-hmm.
actually feel about ourselves.
Ourselves, right? So be
Mm,
aware of that, be
take that to
cognizant of that. When you find that you're always wanting to be the person to give the negative critique, you always want to be the person to highlight the pessimistic perspective, that's the time to be like, yo, is that how I feel about me? Like, is that my value system? Like, am I just not open to positivity? Because I'm projecting that out into the world. And if you're doing that, there's some self work that needs to happen, right? So I think
right.
that's important. And again, looking at our emotions, our thoughts, how we think about things, how we process information. Are we open to diverse perspectives?
Mm,
Are we willing to hear different ideas, different ways to do something? Or are we so committed to my way is the right way?
mm,
Because when you do that, you close yourself off from elevation, from growth, from opportunity,
mm.
right? So now you've stunted yourself
That's
because you're
deep.
not aware,
That's deep.
right? And again, what we talked about yesterday, support is not competition.
Yet.
So when you're aware of yourself, you know how to receive support, receive encouragement,
Right.
and not see it as you coming for me? You think I can't do it?
Right.
Like trying to
Being
play it? Like,
start
right.
looking for things that aren't there.
Yep.
We're gonna talk about that in a
Yeah.
minute.
Get into it.
You want
Those
to
are my
give
thoughts. Get
those are your
into it.
thoughts? That's where you are.
Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Um, we talk about thoughts being tied into emotions. So, with that, a little bit of this is also important. Signs you may lack self awareness.
Talk
Now,
about it, honey.
here's where you know, my sister and I are good about talking about here's where the work begins.
Yes.
Chuckle. Um, I think these are some of the things that this goes into putting in. This is where the hard work, I would say, begins.
Mm-hmm.
of being self-aware is figuring out, are you a person who lacks self-awareness? So one of the
Yeah.
first things is defensiveness. And to kind of give a little example of that is your unwillingness to admit mistakes can show up
Mm.
as you being defensive, right? And so that unwillingness to admit mistakes and having the understanding that vulnerability is key here. Okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to enact self-awareness without vulnerability. So understand, defensiveness shows up in a lot of ways. You just gave some examples. Like, she coming for me?
Right.
What? You know what I'm saying? That level of, we don't how many people, and we know people that do it. Like, I'm
Every
sure
day, all day.
somebody off the top of my head just popped up, right? Like, why she always saying something? She got something to say. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? Are we not
Right.
part of the same conversation?
Conversation.
You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is. And then with that is that also that unwillingness to understand that you make mistakes. Oh no, that's not wrong. That's just what that is.
Right.
Oh, it is what it is. No,
Right.
no, it is not.
No, it's not.
It is not. It is
And it
not.
don't have to be.
It don't have to
Right.
be. What are you talking about?
You can change it.
We please understand, please and thanks. Okay.
Please and thank you.
The other way it can show up, that lack of self-awareness shows up in arrogance. And I give avoidance issues a little placement here. Because people who tend to have that element of arrogance, you're low-key avoiding something. Like, it's buried, it's hidden, but it's there.
Right.
This overcritical attitude or critical of others, put downs disguise. I put downs disguised as constructive criticisms. Like, you give an idea. We talked about this a little bit the other day. When someone has an idea and then someone comes in, well, that's dumb. Like, why would you say like that? Well, first of all, why would you just call my idea dumb?
The dumb when you don't even know the full scope of the idea.
Or did you just give a level of encouragement when it came to it?
Right.
Either, like, what are we talking about?
And what I find with that too, sometimes, because again, just like you and I taking our walks every morning, having these conversations, the one thing that we knew for certain, we're not the only ones having these types of conversations. We've been having these conversations our whole lives with each other.
Really?
So again, we're sisters. So, we've been having these conversations. But we know, because of the women that we know, because of our sister circles, we know that these things happen. And so when you say something like that and people go, oh, that's dumb. Again, that's that lack of self-awareness that maybe you had a similar idea. So instead of partnering and being like, yo, I was thinking the same thing, you shoot it down.
Right.
Because either you see it as competition, right? And so you're like, oh no, I don't want to chime in what I may know, because now they may take that and build on it.
Right.
Or you're just not aware that you're so negative and you just spew it. It just comes out like vomit.
Vomit.
So you gotta check that.
Venom. Right. Please check it. Because what it is that it's you're being self-reflective. I mean, well, the point is to be self-reflective. You need to be self-reflective, right? Learn you and build your self-esteem before you start coming toward everybody else's head. That's how I feel about that. Hey Terry, hey Lori. So the other part, P.S. I was just told that us crunching on ice.
Oh, it's a distraction. I'm sorry. My bad.
So we're really bad about eating ice, y'all.
Oh my God. And this COVID got the back of my throat.
My mouth is
I'm so sorry.
I have to laugh about it because I was like, wait, we both doing it. That's terrible.
Yeah, my bad. We will be better.
I had to say that. That was the most funniest thing to me just now. The next
I will
part
mute myself because I'm addicted to ice.
Like, she's worse than I can't.
Yeah, I got a problem. People, I got a problem. I used to have a drip, but they took it.
But also with signs that you may lack self-awareness. I'm gonna attach this. I'm gonna call it 2A, and I'm gonna say unpredictable and non-trustworthy. So the other part of this, part of like arrogance or avoidance issues, the ability to be unpredictable and to not be trustworthy because of it. Um, Chronically indecisive. Like I'm indecisive. It's a trait, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I'm chronically indecisive. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I am that stereotypical woman that'll be like, I don't know what I want to eat, boo. Figure out what you want to eat, babe. I don't know. Well, you tell me what you want to eat, then I'll tell you how I eat. Like, I am that girl. Like, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
hide it. I'm okay with that. Okay. However, in life, I make decisions. Okay.
Right.
But when you
Right.
are chronically indecisive,
Decisive. Yeah.
like everything that you do, it's with, you're not even aware
Which
anywhere.
goes back to what is your value system. You can't make decisions because you don't know what you hold important to yourself. You
Yes,
don't know what priorities have you set in your life. You just kind of going with the flow at whatever
overly
whichever way the
vague.
wind blows.
Overly vague. It just
Yeah.
make vague statements.
Mhm.
Another example how this shows up too. I had a conversation recently, even with my son, and we were just talking about, like, having relationships and women and different things like that. And one of the things that he brought up was like, in having a conversation with someone or of the opposite sex for him, and kind of like that vagueness where somebody goes, well, are you, instead of just saying I am upset about this, they'll, no, I'm all right.
Mm.
I'm just a little, I'm just a little upset. Instead of saying, no, I am mad, I am frustrated, I am, I'm over this situation, and are
Mhm.
really truly articulating feelings. So that's another way, because who can trust that, right? Like,
Right.
you're telling me one thing, but truly you mean something else. Like, we
Mhm.
all kind of have been victims of this, but this is also levels of untrustworthiness. And what we end up teaching our brain, here's the funny part. We kind of, by doing that, and behaviors such as that, we kind of teach our brain that it's dangerous.
Mm.
Like, that it can't be trusted, right? We can't be
Yeah.
trusted. And so then this becomes a constant thing that you end up doing. And it's a constant
Yeah.
thing you end up doing, and you go through your life kind of like this. It's not okay. We are running from our true emotions when we do that.
Yeah.
Ideally, that's not what we want to do. The idea is to step up to the occasion and deal with our emotions.
Emotions. Yep.
Stop sweeping stuff underneath the rug and actually start dealing with them.
Mm.
The next, as far as signs of lack of self-awareness, is anxiety, right? Over worrying, right? So
Mhm.
this can be past and future. So in the field that we work in, we talk about rumination a lot.
Okay. Yes.
And that's more the past feelings, right? It can, with us doing that ruminating, right? Thinking about the
Mhm.
past, and it's like on replay, on repeat, on repeat, on
Mhm.
repeat, right? That can give us a false illusion of control.
Yes.
And that's not a space we want to be in either, right? Over worrying, it could be about the future. So when we talk about the things of the past, how about accept our past mistakes? Instead of
Mhm.
pressing and keeping it on repeat and thinking like somehow we can't control what already happened in the past. So that's the illusion of the whole situation, right? Well, if I could
Mhm.
have, should have, would have, and I didn't,
Right. And
you
there's
know,
healthy ways to look at your past
past,
and say, like, okay, if there's something trending, that you find is a trending topic in your life, or you're trending in certain things, like, how do you take that information and then learn and grow from it? The
right?
key here and objective is to not stay there, to not use your past to beat you up, to keep you from getting to your future.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the other part of that is the future part of it, right? When that
Hmm.
anxiety starts to take place, there was a good part that it says, understand that worrying, it's an unproductive, it's unproductive thinking about the future. It doesn't solve anything. And I thought that was the best way to kind of explain that. You know what I mean? It's unproductive because it literally makes you stack. Sticky, sticky, stucky,
And no
stucky.
matter how much you think about it, you're not going to really be able to control and manage the exact moment, right? So that's what we talked about. And then in like day two, right? Like setting a goal for yourself, understand that it's a process, lay out the steps, right? Like there's certain things that we definitely can control. Um, the biggest thing that we can control is our effort and energy into anything.
Absolutely.
Even the outcome, we don't have no control over it. Because as we learn, life be life.
Life.
And sometimes you have to pivot on a dime and shift,
Mhm.
right? But if you've done the prep work, you can minimize a lot of the anxiety about the process and the outcome, which will allow you to stay focused, be intentional, and get to the end of your road.
I like that, being prepared, right?
Yeah,
So let's talk about raising that level of self-awareness. Like, how do you go about raising that level of self-awareness? And one thing I saw was like, know your strengths and weaknesses. So it goes back to you, and I think somebody just recently said it too. Like, kind of speak your truth. I like that. And I'm always
mm-hmm.
about that. Be honest with yourself, speak your truth. You know what I mean? But know your strengths and your weaknesses. Know
Yes.
you. This is what all of this is about. When we talk about self-awareness, when we talk about goal setting, when we talk about being intentional, this is
Mm-hmm.
all about you. This is the word.
Yeah,
And as I think sometimes as human beings, I think we forget like growth and elevation should be an everyday part of us. You know what I mean? We always should be in some space of growth, whatever that looks like for you.
like for you. Yeah.
Oh, Ema, whatever that looks like for you, but
And
we should,
understanding that everybody's process and growth is different. There's
yes,
no like,
cookie
and
cutter.
I keep going back to this because this is some of the feedback I'm also getting. you know why did you guys pick 120 days? Oh my god, 120 days, that's so long. What, and it's just like, listen, that's what worked for us,
Right.
right? And we said in the beginning, the 120 days is significant to us because Tamara's birthday's in February, my birthday's in May. We're going from February 1st to May 31st. That encapsulates us, right?
Right.
The essence of who we are. But this journey, and let's be very, very clear. Our
Right.
journey does not stop on
No,
May 31st.
sure does
We're
not.
saying that we're being intentional about putting out this content, about creating community, about forging sisterhoods. And like I keep saying, and I'm telling you, you better write it down. Next year, you will be paying to see us
Amen.
because God is going to take us places, and
Amen.
we are going to be faithful over the mustard seed that we have right now so that God can bless it
Amen.
and create an abundance, right? And so for us, 120 days is what God put in our hearts.
Mhm.
But this process will not stop at 120 days for us. And that's why we keep saying, like, in the comments, in our emails, reach out. If you on this journey, if you have a goal and you're working on something, we want to help sisters reach our goal. We want to elevate as women. We want to elevate as women of color. We want to repair and restore our own community,
Oh, look.
right? Like, it starts with us. We are the bearers of life. We bring forth life. Like, we
Yes.
speak in life into everything we do from February 1st to May 31st on the highest platform that we have available to us.
Amen.
And so we humbly, again, ask you to go on this journey with us. But just know that, like, we're not stopping there. This
No.
is this is bigger than us.
Amen. It
But it's
is.
what God placed in our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
we had to become very self aware. We had to become very vulnerable. We had to become very intentional. And then through that, we're going to elevate. And we're going to take all y'all with us. It may be a cover charge, but I'm just saying.
I
You get a little discount. No,
love it. I love it. I love it because you're speaking my love language. I
That's
love
right,
that.
honey.
Les, Africa's, if you don't know, my sister is affirming, honey. She is
Yes.
affirming,
She is the
honey.
affirmation queen.
The affirmation
That's what
queen.
I
She is
do. I'm going
affirming
to
life,
affirm life.
honey.
Yeah.
And I love it because this is what we need.
Hmm.
It's that level of encouragement, it's that level of intent, it's that level of love. That's what we're trying to put out in the atmosphere. And I'm always about hug a sister today. If you ain't hug a sister today, hug a sister today.
Word.
Okay. I love it. I love it because this is where we need to be. So with that, so however you need to talk about this 120 days,
That's right.
for 12 weeks, 4 months, however
Months,
you need to
whatever you
talk
need to
to yourself,
say.
talking to yourself. But we saying 120 days because every day is the day that we're going to be intentional in what it is that's been placed on us to be intentional for.
And just to drive that point home even more, 120 days is cumulative, right? So every day is a day.
Every day is a
Every
day.
day is a day. So you ain't got to claim 120. You ain't got to own it. You just got to wake up and say, today, I'm going to
Today.
be intentional.
Exactly. And I think that's for some that might be the best thing
The
to do.
best. Yep.
So with that, we talk about your
Be
strengths, know your
aware.
strengths and your weaknesses. Keep an open mind. Don't be bogged down or locked into one way, right? If someone's saying 120 days, if you feel the need to say 4 weeks, 12 weeks, say 12 weeks. If you want to say 4 months, say 4 months. But don't be so locked into a certain frame of thinking because of what's convenient for you. Because sometimes our thoughts is because we're based off of what is convenient for us in
For
the moment.
us, what's safe, what's
What's safe
comfortable,
is
what
comfort.
doesn't challenge us.
And right now we're talking about stepping outside of that.
Side of that.
Talking about going past your comfort zones, right? This is past even our comfort zone in a lot of ways.
So past mine.
You understand?
And past my bedtime sometimes.
For sure, for sure.
Talk about that.
Okay.
Because self-aware, sister
So
be sleeping.
okay. So keep an open mind. Don't be bogged down or locked into one way. Another way to raise your self-awareness is to set boundaries. Here's that thing.
Yes.
Set them not only for yourself, but set them for others too. It's very important that Shalom, my love. That's one of my mentors. Set those boundaries for yourself as well as others. Okay. What works for you is what works for you. Don't be limited to somebody else's mindset. Oftentimes, especially as women, this is what we do. Somebody will throw it in. We talked about the negative thought, right? It's bad enough we can have our own negative self-thoughts. But when someone else is projecting their negativity onto us, that don't mean you pick it up. Set that boundary. If that individual is not in a support of you, we talked about this last night, that's all right. But be aware of where you are and what your limitations are, and be okay with setting boundaries. The other
Yeah.
one is know what sets you off. Be the change you want to see. I love that one.
Yes.
My favorite.
Yes.
I have that posted in my room. I literally have a
Yeah.
sign that says, I will be the change that I want to
Change
see.
I want to see.
Um,
Absolutely.
but know what sets you off, your triggers.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know nothing else,
Word.
I
I'm
know
aware of that.
I'm that was probably the first thing that I've actually been ever been in tune with is my triggers. And I thought that was important because as for me, as a person that set goals, I don't really dwell with a lot of negativity. I'm not for a lot of negativity. Like I'll tell anybody that know me, my house is my sanctuary. Like literally it's my peace. It's
Yeah.
my peace. It's my peace from the world. So if you coming into my space and you disrupting my peace, that's a trigger for me. And I
Right.
literally start twitching so I'm ready to fight. So because I
Word.
literally will fight for my peace. So know what your triggers are and be in a space of being aware of setting those boundaries, back to boundaries.
Yeah.
Um the other part about that is practice self-discipline. Practice self-discipline. We talked about this, and we're going to talk about this over the next my math ain't mathing today. Within this 120 days, like how I did that. because my math wasn't mathing. I was like, man,
I never went to the
113 days. Okay. I had to carry the one. No.
Yep, for real, honey.
So practice self discipline. Know
Hmm.
yourself. It goes back to know your strengths and know your weaknesses. But in that, practice those self disciplines. Get you some discipline. It's okay.
Yes.
Admit when you need to be disciplined. This is what this
Hmm.
is about. So, in order to be intentional, there's a level of discipline that goes
The
into
plan to have, yes.
it. Habits. This is all about creating habits. This is
Habits.
all
Good,
about
positive habits. Yeah.
positive habits and being intentional. And the last one is understand and know that your actions may affect others. The issue with self awareness a lot of times is that we're not aware how we are affecting other people.
Yes.
We're not aware of how we
And
affect.
sometimes your self discipline, your intention is somebody else's trigger.
I, I like
And
that.
so you have to be so aware of self not to get duped and pulled into their negative space,
Yes.
because your bright light is triggering complacency in them.
Mm,
Your bright light is triggering their fear. Your
mm,
bright light is triggering all the times that they didn't complete their goal, that they didn't do a smart goal, that they didn't develop a supportive process, that they didn't lean into their supportive
mm.
community and network and build,
That's a
right? And so when that happens, you have to recognize that that's not my stuff. And I have to be so disciplined and doing and being intentional
mm-hmm.
that I really can't focus on your trigger. I have to set my boundary. And I have to hold that boundary. So that's something that for me is real personal. I talk about that a lot in therapy with my clients, in our therapy sessions, is that in therapy, we identify the
Mm-hmm.
boundaries, right?
Yep.
We identify what the boundaries are. We establish that. We articulate it. I be having them journaling it, writing it, screenshotting it. We do all the work. But I tell them that is useless if you go out in the world and you don't hold your boundary.
Right.
You could come to a 45-minute therapy session with me and boundary me to death.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't hold that boundary and remain disciplined, you don't get anything out of it. So that's so important to recognize in
I
your
like
self
that.
awareness.
And I like that you said that because I think it puts a little, it puts a different spin on it too, right? Even in us talking about awareness and understanding that our actions, because, but I'm glad you said it that way because you're right. Because oftentimes we're trying to understand why people come at us
Hmm.
and we're not understanding why they come at. So that was a perfect explanation of like how other people, this level of arrogance that sometimes is projected or lack or shows what lack of supportiveness looks like, right? And
Yeah.
it's because we are triggering you in your stage of change.
Hmm.
Back to our other day, you and your stage of change is triggering somebody else who might be in a
Yeah.
space of stagnation.
Hmm.
They just being
And
stagnant, and I realized, but
yeah.
there that level of projection. So I actually like that you put that spin on that because I was taking it from the perspective of self, in that a lot of times with us when we're moving in a certain direction, although we think we're in a, we're doing something again in well intentioned, right?
Right.
We also end up hurting those along the way.
Hmm.
We're cutting them off somehow, whether
We're isolating them,
isolating, right,
yeah.
right. But that's a different spin on it. And I think that's also very important to recognize
Mhm.
as your self-awareness, because
Yes.
that causes for, like you said, that also goes back to your boundary.
Yep.
Because when you are aware of what someone else is doing too,
Hmm.
right, in that space, then you're able to better set boundaries and kind
Right.
of hold off. So
Hmm.
I like
And
that.
it also helps you to then become that supportive person that you want, right? Because
Right.
now your perspective is different on it. You're not looking at it as, oh, you hating on me, like, oh, I'm just, nah, like, I'm triggering your fear. So I'm going to speak life into you. I'm going to speak encouragement into you. And I'm going to tell you that my journey is not your journey, but here's some of the elements that are working for me. If you want to learn more about it, check us out live before the ticket sales go up. But that's all I could do because I'll be limited too. Because I'm working on me
You were.
and I'm working on me.
I
Listen,
can't stand
girl, I'm
you.
working on me.
I can't stand you. If there's any questions, feel free to jump in the comments and ask us any questions that you may have. But yeah, this has been that was a good one
Yeah, that was good.
about self-awareness. I've been tapping into that one today. You know, I was like, I'm aware that
Yeah, I'm aware of a lot of things.
certain goals that I didn't set might not be the time to fulfill those goals. And I'm actually very much okay with that. Um because I'm still on the path that I want to be on. I'm still
Mhm.
accomplishing the goals that I have set. It's just a different path.
Right.
And um and I'm very much still excited about it. And I
Yep.
think that's the other part of knowing your strengths and weaknesses and being self-aware, that I
Mhm.
know that for me, procrastination, to be transparent, procrastination shows up for me as when I don't want to do it.
Right.
I just simply don't want to do it. And I just don't want to do it. So I don't. and
Simple. One
it
plus one is two.
it is too. But I realize, but that's what it is. I'm like, am I lazy? Am I being lazy? He was like, no, I'm not being lazy because the things I
No,
want
I
to do,
don't want to do it.
I make an
Right.
effort to do those things. And to me, there's certain things that are just a little more important right now. And
Yep.
it's still on my trajectory. I'm still progressing. I'm still going in that space. And sometimes it's okay to be able to switch gears. But this is knowing yourself and knowing your
Yep.
strengths as well as knowing your
Your
weaknesses.
weaknesses.
You know what I mean? So as always, we like to always add um
The word.
a word, a
A
word,
word.
a word. We
And not
always
from your sponsor. A word
no.
from God.
A word from God, the true sponsor. And
Amen.
we just sponsor God.
Okay.
Mm,
All day, honey.
I
That's what
like
I
that. We
do.
just shout it out, God. I love it.
Yes.
Um, but it's actually taken from Proverbs chapter 27, verse 19, and it says, "As face answers to face in water, so does one man's heart to another." Whoa. The face that you show it, it shows you.
That's right, honey. Get your
Woo-hoo.
Bible, people.
Face that you show it, it shows you
Shows you.
what is your reflection like? What is your
Do
reflection?
some mirror work.
Yes. How are you, Shalom? Yes, you know what? I I really love this. And thank you, my sister Chantel. Let me just say
Thanks, Chantel.
telling the back, doing the but Chantel does the greatness that she does.
Word.
But that one was a good one. And I had to read it from a different book because you know, it's not variations, it's still from, you know,
Bible.
the Bible. For me, the Tanakh. Um, but it and because one book I have says, as in water, face answers face, so does the
Mm.
heart of man to man. But this I got from an app Safaria, and I liked how it said it a little better. As face answers to face in water, so does one man's heart to another. Now you take that
That.
and
Marinate on that for the rest of the night.
you okay? Thank you, Sister Aisha. This is an excellent lesson. Keep up the good work. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Um,
you.
are trying, and this is what we're doing. Like,
Yep.
oh, we had another one. State of number 6, state of change, moving for the most high, focusing on righteousness can make others react negatively towards us. They are not in
Mm.
your space of understanding.
Yeah.
I like
Happens.
I like that. And that's
Mm.
and here we go. Every aspect
Respect
of
of our
life.
lives. Yep.
Every aspect of life. I'm always gonna quote Cat Williams. If you ain't got a hater, boo boo, you ain't
He
doing
would know.
something.
He would know.
I'm just saying, like I just
I
always
gotta
put
go.
it,
I'm done.
and
That was a
it's
that
not
was
that.
almost a mic drop for me. I gotta go.
I
I'm
know, right?
hungry. I ain't fooling with
Listen,
you.
we are wrapping this up again.
Yes,
Kind of meditate on. I like that. I'm actually going to meditate on that one. Proverbs 27 verse 19.
yeah.
As face answers to face in water, so does one man's heart to another. So let's be in a space of positive reflection
Yes.
of self, right? That's the best way I can put it. Let's be in a space of positive reflection of self. Let's be aware of our understanding and have a level of self awareness, right? Let's be in a space to create goals, create smart goals, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Smart goals.
be intentional and moving these intentions over the next 113 days now because
Days.
we close with day 7, and I'm very, very proud
Yes.
of what we're doing right now. And I'm proud of the sisters. Thank you so much for joining in.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Yes.
much for adding your comments. Thank you for the support and the love. Whether it's your first time here, whether you're returning again, this is about building sisterhood. This is also about personal journey, personal reflection of self, for us to reach our higher self,
Yes.
in the hopes to reach our higher purpose,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right? So always feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and to Shay Kaio on Facebook and YouTube, and our open content on Instagram and Facebook at Kaio Warrior. Please also check out my sister Stacy, my sissy, my love, on Facebook at Linnell Heath. Thank you for
Wait, and I'm so excited. I just want to say, I figured it out. I went live on Facebook. I
you
fixed it.
finally did it.
Yes, it's working. Yes.
She finally got technology, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. It just took 7 days. Completion.
7 whole days.
Seven
whole days.
Um,
Okay, Tony, I see you, Tony.
I can't.
All right.
I'm done. Thank you always for supporting. And
Yes.
also, if you feel like supporting us on this journey, because I'm telling you, my sister already said it, we're on to bigger and better things. And I love
Yes, honey.
I love when she speaks my love language. She start affirming things. If you would like to support Nishay Kayu, please feel free to donate at Cash App at $ Nishay Kayu, or at PayPal, Nishay Kayu. We thank you always for your donations, and understand it's only for the growth and what we're trying to accomplish. There's a lot of things that will be coming down the pike. The beautiful thing is March is coming up. That's Women's Month. It's Nishay Kayu's anniversary. There's some things that we want to put into the works. Please understand, if you are a business, hello. If you are a business, by all means, please send your information to nashaykail@gmail.com. We want to know about your business. We're looking for female of color, Black owned businesses. Hello. And what we're wanting to do is to do our due diligence and open it up to different people to get your name out there. Each one teach one, but it's important for us to help each other in any possible way that we can. That is being a collective. Let's start to learn how to circulate our dollar amongst ourselves and build community. This is the other thing that we're trying to do. There's some great things out here. There's some great women doing some powerful things. And you know what? If we have a means or a platform to be able to share that information with others,
we definitely will.
It don't hurt us to do it. It can only build us, and that's my intention. That's my sister's intention. That is not Sheikh Kayil's intention. So understand, we are great, but we are greater together. Okay. So, Hug a sister today if you ain't hug her. Call your sister if you ain't call her. Let's share love. And my sister always goes peace and blessings, because
Peace and blessings.
peace and blessings,
We
and that's
see
all.
y'all tomorrow.
We'll see y'all tomorrow, day 8. Oh, and it's my birthday tomorrow.
Birthday.
My birthday's the birthday edition tomorrow. It's a
The
birthday edition
birthday
tomorrow.
edition. So the topic might be a little bit spicy. No,
It might be. I don't know.
it might be. It
I don't
might
know.
be.
It
Who
might just be
knows?
me dancing the whole time.
Right. This might be a party. It just might be a party.
um,
But we will be here. We will be
we will.
intentional. We will be
We will
present.
be intentional. We will be present.
Yeah.
Toda. Thank you for the birthday wishes, y'all. Love y'all. I appreciate y'all. So,
All right.
yes, we will see y'all tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
Love y'all.
Peace.
Peace out. Toda.